Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Eat Sleep Game. My name is Luke, and this has been such a news-packed week. There's been so much going on. So much has happened. I was going to make individual videos about some of these things, like we'll get to it. But what I've decided to do instead, and which I might keep doing each week, is do one video that just sums up some of the cool stuff or the interesting stuff or the important stuff that has happened during this week in gaming. I guess, kind of like the way that Game Ranks and a bunch of other people do. I want to do a short-ish video where I talk about the news of the week, I guess. So we'll jump straight into it. The first bit of news, and it's a pretty monumental one, is that the PlayStation 5 has ended the Switch's 33-month reign as the best-selling console in the US, which is mind-blowing. Just absolutely mind-blowing. 33 months, 3 more months, and a Nintendo Switch would have been the best-selling console in the US for 3 years straight, which is bonkers. Absolutely mad. The Switch is just a powerhouse, just an absolute powerhouse. Now, there's a couple of reasons this has probably happened. A couple of reasons that streak has now ended. PS5 being Brock Lesnar, the Switch being The Undertaker at WrestleMania. It's probably a combination of there have been a fair few more PS5s available over September and coming into October, but they broke the record for September. It's also possible that this was the lead up to the OLED, and people were, understandably not going to go out and buy the old Switch. They were going to buy the OLED because you would. If I didn't have a Switch already, I would be looking at getting the OLED instead of a regular Switch, because you would, wouldn't you? It's the new hotness. It's the new standard, I think. But man, I said it in a tweet. Sean from the G4A podcast said it in our group chat as well. It's hard to tell which is more impactful, which is more of an achievement. Is it the incredible run that the Switch had, or that the PS5 was able to stop that run? It's just boggling to think. 33 months. But then the PS5 has come in and stole some of that thunder. This does also come off the back of the Switch and Nintendo as a whole really having that the Nintendo Direct, where they announced not only the Animal Crossing DLC, but the pricing for the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, which has caused a little bit of an uproar. Mostly, I think, in the US, because it's a bigger price jump than it is here in the UK. For us, it's going from like £20 to 35, so it's not, it's not too bad, because the old, the basic version of it is still available. But in America, in the US, it's going. I can't remember exactly where it started, what the actual price is at the moment, but it's gonna be $50 or $70, $75, something like that for the family, which is understandable. That's a bit of a jump. That is a bit of a jump. I'm quite curious. I'm not normally one that tracks sales figures and stuff like that, but I'm very curious what October's numbers are going to look like. Is the PS5 going to hold strong and hold that, or is the Switch just going to bounce straight back with the OLED doing so well? Because the OLED's already outsold, or had a better launch than the Switch Lite has over here in the UK. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see. Is are Nintendo going to bounce back and be the console for Christmas? Is the PS5 going to hold on, or maybe the Xbox pops up, or one of the Xboxes pop up? I wouldn't be surprised to see the Series S pop up, because I think that's a handy little machine, and I think we could see a lot of parents go for that for their young children, youngish children, over the Christmas period. El posible, el posible. Um, Speaking of Nintendo, though, they have had another leak, unfortunately. So obviously, Metroid Dread leaked a bit early, um, and they've been hit again. Mario Party Superstars has leaked a week ahead of its official release. I'm using VGC for all of these reports because they do wonderful work at VGC, and they're on the button. They've got some great breaking news and stuff like that. They're very, very good, very good. But no, it's supposed to launch on October the 29th, but it's already out. It's already leaked. It's, it sucks, doesn't it? Because you know, Nintendo's a big corporation, and you're not supposed to necessarily care about the big corporations, as you know, they make a ridiculous amount of money and so on and so forth. But it's always difficult with, I find, especially with Nintendo, because they're always kind of, you know, these sort of games, especially like Mario Party, it's supposed to be like really family friendly, fun games, and I don't know, it just sucks when something like that happens to something like this. It sucked when it happened to Metroid Dread, but the devs have been a bit shit, haven't they? Not crediting certain people with work on the game because of X, Y, and Z reasons, all of which are bollocks from what I've heard. They're all stupid, nonsense reasons. But no, this is a shame. It is a shame when something like this happens, because it means those, the developers that have worked hard on it might not get all the money that they had coming their way, and they work damn hard. I know a few. They work hard. It's not an easy job by any stretch, making a game, even simpler games. There is no such thing as an easy game to make. Unless it's an asset flip, but then that's a different thing entirely. But yeah, no, just sucks when stuff like this happens. I think Nintendo have some work to do to patch up what is going on there. Two pretty big launches for them, both leaking prior. It's something they need to look into. Next up. I'm not sure if I want to do this again, guys. I'm not sure if I want to. Ubisoft have reportedly finally greenlit another Splinter Cell game. Now, this was broken by VGC. They've also reported on the game potentially being similar to Hitman, or taking some inspiration from the newer Hitman games, which I thought is what I thought, essentially. I thought that, especially with how well Hitman 3 has done, especially sales wise, like it's done very, very, very well, let alone critically. It makes sense. As you know, if you've watched or listened to any of the podcasts I'm on, or have done, I'm a big Splinter Cell fan. I love Splinter Cell. I love sneaky. I've been playing Deathloop, for instance, and I play it sneaky. I play anything that gives me the option to be sneaky. I play it sneaky. But I'm not. I don't want to get my hopes up. For a good 10 years now. For about 10 years, I think it is. It might even actually be 10 years. It might not be hyperbole. But for that entire time, we've heard and seen numerous rumors of Splinter Cell games in development being cancelled. Numerous times, and then we've had numerous times where Sam Fisher pops up and he's in a mobile game, or he's in somebody else's game and it's not, or he's in someone else's game and he's hinting at a new game but nothing comes. don't want to do it again. Just part of me wants this one to be true. A large part of me wants this one to be true. However, there has been other reports on this that say the reason, if true, the reason that this new Splinter Cell game has been greenlit is twofold. It's one, because Ubisoft's games have kind of plateaued recently in the public eye. A lot of them are, Far Cry 6 in particular recently. People think it's good, but it's more of the same sort of thing. It's not, they're not going anywhere, so people are getting a bit with the games, I played last year's one. It's pretty much the same as this year's one. Why am I going to buy it again, sort of thing? Just different setting, characters. And they haven't really built, sort of thing. Second is because of the it's trying to rebuild Ubisoft's image after all the discrimination and sexual harassment stuff, and all the mistreating of their employees. So it's a tricky one, because as much as I do want a Splinter Cell game, I do want a new Splinter Cell game because I love the franchise. I love the character. I love the gameplay, especially the earlier ones where they use the shadows a lot more, and the cool, if you can hear yourself, the enemies can hear you and stuff like that. I don't want one made just to kind of make them look better. And I'm also very worried. This was one of the ones I wanted to do a separate video on, because I have a lot to say. I'm also worried because Ubisoft have, all of their games are very similar now. They all follow a very similar blueprint, big open worlds. They're just all the same game with different skins a lot of the time, and different names on them, and then different themes, sort of thing. You got your the Far Cry stuff, you got the Assassin's Creed stuff. They're all quite similar. There's just some differences, like one's in first person, one's set in a different time period, one's got monsters, sort of thing. It's only odd bits and pieces like Immortal, that was different, and people really enjoyed that. So I do worry that a new Splinter Cell game will just kind of fit into what Ubisoft are currently doing, and not being an outlier, and not being what it needs to be, because Splinter Cell works being more linear. I think you can do an open world. So like, I was thinking about it the other day. I was listening to, I think it was Chris Raygun talking on the Sacred Symbols podcast, where he was talking about how you could do an open world game, where you travel around and gather evidence and stuff like that. And it got me thinking that you could do that and then make it like Batman Arkham City, where you do go around, you gather evidence, and you do bits and pieces around the open world, but to progress and all the main story beats and all the main gameplay stuff, all the interesting gameplay stuff, happens inside of places. So you could say gather a load of evidence, again, how to, or kind of like the first Assassin's Creed game as well, I guess, where you listen to people and figure out the best way of doing, how the guards take a break at X time, and you can sneak in through a window there, and then have the bulk of the actual the proper content take place inside more linear spaces, sort of thing. So I think there is a balance you could do there, but I do just worry that it's going to be another Ubisoft game. But time will tell on that one. Time will tell. We will hopefully see relatively soon. There is talk that it's going to be announced next year, so we'll see. Next up, God of War has finally been confirmed for PC. Now, this got leaked a while ago with the Nvidia stuff. Um, so there is a lot of wondering what else on that Nvidia thingy is actually going to come to fruition. But God of War coming to PC in January, which is wonderful. I've been wanting to replay it for a good while, and this is the perfect excuse. It's gonna look so beautiful. They've released a trailer for it, and it just looks great. Looks awesome. So January 14th for that one. I'm excited. I'm excited to replay that one and have another look. While we're on this Sony bandwagon of sorts, let's kick them a little bit, because they also patented a feature that allows players to kick other players from games. So this one's a little bit complicated. So it's a weird one, because there's not a huge amount of context to it, as in where or how this will be used. But in theory, this would allow people to kick off teammates that are performing bad, for instance. Which, of course, could be super easily manipulated. It sounds like it would work on a voting system, and you'd have to give like warnings before that. But it's tricky, because that if it's not regulated, that would be so easily manipulatable. And it would just suck. It would just suck. Now, this could, in actual fact, be used in a closed capacity. So it could be used for a very, very specific thing. So it might be for a specific game, or as some of us in our personal group chat was saying, this could be for like a game show type thing, like an esports game show sort of thing, where you vote off who you want to vote off, sort of thing, which could be kind of interesting if that is the case. But it's a tricky thing they're going to try to do if it's not, and it is just a widespread whatever. But I feel like it would be for a more specific use, whether it's a specific game, or if it is, like I said, for some kind of like show of some kind. Who knows? It's a weird one. Moving on, because that is kind of hypothetical at the moment. There's nothing but a patent to go off of, or patent, if that's how you prefer to pronounce it. Something we know a bit more of is the Uncharted movie, because we finally got a choo-choo, apparently. No, we got a trailer for it. We got a trailer for this. And I'm kind of stuck in the middle somewhere, because the trailer didn't look terrible by any stretch of the imagination. I like Tom Holland. I think Tom Holland's fantastic. I think he's a very good actor. He's got a good look about him. He seems like a decent dude. And he seems like he's got a lot of passion. However, he did kind of temper expectations with comments he made not too long ago, where he seemingly said that he didn't really understand the character. He tried to play it too cool instead of, playing it like Nathan Drake. I'm not a huge Mark Wahlberg fan. I think he's good in... I actually really liked him in... I can't remember the name of it. The movie he did with The Rock, where they're bodybuilders and I think they steal money or drugs or something. I can't remember. But as Sully... Weird. Another issue I have with this is it looks like it's doing the thing I really hoped it wasn't doing, and kind of taking every single Uncharted game and just going, because we get points from, for instance, in the trailer you can see the scene where he's falling out of the the airplane, and he's trying to climb up all the cargo. Very cool shot, very well shot. It looks really really cool. But then you also see scenes that are in Uncharted 4, and he's meeting Sully for the first time, which happens, I think it was Uncharted 3, where they have the flashbacks. 2? I don't know. But yeah, they're kind of taking old games and just I'm not. I don't like that. I don't like that. Because it never quite works when it does that. Because then you just get a hodgepodge of everything. You don't really get any depth to any of this. I'm also not a huge fan of the director. I like Zombieland. I can't remember what other movies it is I've seen of his, but I didn't really enjoy any of them. I haven't seen Venom, but I only know 2 people that actually enjoy that movie. Not super hopeful for this one. I hope it's good. I hope I'm wrong. At the very least, I hope it's fun. But I get the feeling it is just going to be like another Tomb Raider. One side note on the Uncharted movie. I do think, while I like Tom Holland, I do think he's kind of horribly miscast. And I think it is just because he's the new hotness at the moment. Because he is good. It's like Zendaya. Like, Zendaya's being put in a bunch of stuff because she's good at what she does as well. But I think that personally, my personal pick, if we were going to do this younger Nathan Drake, and we were going to tell a bit more of an origin story, and we want to see him grow and stuff like that, I would have picked someone who we've seen pretty much do the character already, and not really get to do it to its fullest. So there's 2 people. If you wanted to do today, his actual age, slightly older, like mid-30s Nathan Drake, Oscar Isaacs would have been perfect. But since they're going for this younger one, John Boyega would have been fantastic in this role, because he's got that wonderful middle ground of coming across really smart but also being really dopey at points. He's got a good look to him where he looks like he can handle himself as well. And he's just got so much charisma. I think Finn in the Star Wars movies is very close. If he got to evolve beyond what actually happened, because he got used diminishingly, which was ridiculous, because he was one of, if not the best parts of, especially the first movie. He was fantastic. But I think John Boyega would fit the role a lot better, and I think it would be more interesting, because it'd be that bit different as well. And yes, I know Nathan Drake's a white guy, but there's nothing that intrinsically makes him have to be a white guy. There's nothing about his heritage, or there's nothing about I don't think you even meet his parents. This is one instance where it wouldn't matter. If white guys can keep playing black roles, then a black guy can take one back. He's a fantastic actor. It shouldn't matter. John Boyega would have been phenomenal. But moving on, we have a couple of delays to talk about before I get to the final thing. So Elden Ring has been delayed by a month. So that will be launching in the jam-packed February. February is looking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I think there's like 4 games in January I want to play. Elden Ring being one of them. Horizon, Saints Row. Big Saints Row fan. I love those games. They're fun. They're stupid. I love them. I can't remember what the other one I wanted to play was, which probably tells you I only want to play 3 of those, really. But yeah, it's moved into a very, very busy period. I think it'll be fine, because February may be stacked, but each of those games are quite different from each other. And I would imagine we're going to see a couple of those move. I would imagine Saints Row will move out. I feel like Saints Row will move out. because that hasn't had a delay or anything, whereas, Horizon did. Obviously, Elden Ring now has. I think Dying Light 2, is that the other one? I think Dying Light 2 is the other one that's in February, or one of the other ones that's in February. Sifu was the other one, or Sifu, or Sifu, or Sifu. I don't know. That's the other one. But again, it's different to the other games, so that it can kind of stand on its own a bit more. Cyberpunk and The Witcher 3's next gen versions have also been delayed. Not surprised in the slightest about this, because they haven't got the game fixed yet. Cyberpunk, that is. I apologise. The Witcher 3 is, fine for most people, I think. I didn't have any issues when I played it. Never finished it, mind. It's not a surprise to me that the next gen version of Cyberpunk isn't coming out this year. I've been saying it for a very, very, very long time that I don't think it was even coming out this year. Cyberpunk, of course, was internally meant to come out in 2022. So now that the next gen patch has been delayed until 2022, it's a bit ironic, don't you think? Like, I was saying this to, I think it was Jordan from the Game for All podcast. Imagine if, especially with the way this year has gone, where we haven't had a blockbuster, imagine if they delayed Cyberpunk by 6 months and brought it out this year. It would be the game everyone was talking about. They could have polished it up in that time, probably, or at least enough that it wouldn't have been a disaster, absolute disaster. But it would have been the game of the year, easily, probably. It would likely walked game of the year. It would have been the most talked about. It would have been like if Red Dead Redemption 2 had launched and been the only significant game of that year. Like, it would have absolutely cakewalked everything. Not really surprised that the Witcher 3 port has also been pushed back, because I don't know if they've got multiple teams off the top of my head. But, when Cyberpunk still isn't where it needs to be, you should probably just focus on that before sorting out the next step, sort of thing. And then we have Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp has been delayed until spring. There's no solid date on this. This was meant to be coming out quite soon, actually. It was meant to be coming out in December, on December 3rd, but has been pushed back. No explanation with it, I don't think. No, they just say it just needs a bit more fine tuning, which is fine. Like I said, a delayed game is always going to be better. It's always going to be better. Take the time you need. Don't do a Cyberpunk. So, before we go, I have two final stories. I have one big one to talk about, and that is the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy. So we got a proper look at it. We've got a look at the work they've done. We've got a look at what each of the games is going to look at like. We've got a release date, and we have a price. Now, much like the Uncharted trailer, I'm kind of caught in two minds, because visually I think is a bit of a mess. I actually quite like the way the main character models look, as in the main characters like Claude, Tommy, and CJ. I like the way they look, because they remind me of the I'll put a picture here, but you can get Final Fantasy VII like classic retro looking polygon figures, and they look like that, which I think is cool. I think is a cool direction to go in. But then other characters look dreadful, like that one. And then I think the scenery looks pretty dreadful. There's a before and after that I'll also put here that just looks horrible. It just looks horrible. It just looks like someone has, kind of taken a paint by numbers version of what that city should look like, and just gone on Photoshop and used the bucket and just gone boop 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 and filled in. Doesn't look like there's any shading. Doesn't you know, it it just doesn't look the way it should. And like, I didn't have ridiculous expectations for this because it's a 3-in-1. It's coming to phones pretty soon after. Um, it it wasn't going to be the all out remake that I wanted, at least Vice City to get. Um, but it's weird because you've then got this weird lighting stuff that they're doing, and it just throws everything off because the characters look kind of cartoony. Some of the environments look kind of cartoony, but they've made like the rain and the lighting and stuff like that look realistic. So it gives you this weird kind of mesh of styles, and it doesn't quite work for me. Um, that being said, I'm curious to see how much better the gameplay is because the gameplay is supposed to be more like Grand Theft Auto 5. Um, so we'll have to wait and see. Visually, I'm not too impressed. I don't think it looks great. I think they should have just picked an art style and gone with it. If you want to make it, realistic to modern standards, then go all out and do that. They could do that. They have a lot of money. They could have, hired a team for each one of these games and probably got that done. It's Rockstar. It's Take-Two. They have godlike money. Or if you wanted to go the cartoony polygonal route, I'm British. Then do that. Don't try and mismatch both because it is a mismatch. They've mismatched two different art styles and they just collide and don't work well together. But like I said, I am curious because they are updating the gameplay. So I'm curious. I'm not gonna buy it at launch. I'm not gonna pick it up at launch. It's £55 or $59. And one, I still own my discs, so I could just pop out a PS2 and I'm good to go. I don't mind playing older games. This is another reason I'm not too fussed about them because I like going back and playing older games. I have no problem doing that. If this were remakes, completely different story. Yeah, it's a tricky one because I really, really want them. I really like Vice City. I mean, I really like all of them. They're all great. But Vice City is my favorite out of those three. Yeah, it's just tricky. It's just tricky. It's difficult to know which way to go. So these will be coming out on December 7th. To add to the confusion, San Andreas, I think it is going to be on Game Pass. 3 is going to be on PlayStation Now. And the best one, Vice City, is just left to, I don't know. Maybe it'll pop up on Stadia or something. Weird. Why split them up like that? They're also coming to Nintendo Switch, which is cool. I might actually pick them up there eventually. I think they would be fun on Switch. But then I am probably getting a Steam Deck. So Steam Deck, whatever it's called. Yeah, it's such a tricky one. I really, really wanted to like them. I really, really wanted to just look at them and be like, yeah, sick. But I'm so unsure, so very unsure. That's also without mentioning that they pulled the originals. I don't know if you can still get them anywhere. But the originals are pulled from like the PlayStation Store and stuff like that. As far as I know, I haven't actually looked. And they were threatening to, I believe they were threatening to sue modders, who, they did a better job. The modders did a better job with the games. They made them look far better, in my opinion. I know a lot of people are happy with the way these look. and that's cool. If you're happy with the way they look, more power to you. These games they're there for you. Then I'm just very unsure, very unsure about these at the moment. Um, and finally, I thought we'd end with a I want to say a funnier one, but it's more of a curious one. I'm quite curious about this. And that is that Microsoft are working on a Wu-Tang Clan RPG, which is supposedly being developed by a new studio called Brass Lion. And they're working on the game with Wu-Tang Clan lore. I don't really know what to say. I'm curious. This was apparently first revealed by Jez Corden, who does incredible work. He's in great follow on Twitter. He's always dropping knowledge and some wonderful nuggets every now and again. And he tends to be at the forefront of this sort of stuff. He tends to be the one that drops this kind of information. It's going to have a soundtrack created by the Wu-Tang Clan. I'm very curious. I'm not a huge Wu-Tang Clan fan. Everything I've heard I've liked, but I haven't taken the time to get properly into them, sort of thing. But I don't know. I'm curious. 50 Cent made what was that first one he made? Not Blood and Sand, the other one. I can't remember what it was called. But that was actually pretty fun. That was a solid enough game. Apparently, Blood and Sand's fun as well. Maybe Wu-Tang could do it Blair. Maybe Wu-Tang can do it better. Who knows? I'm curious. You've piqued my interest. I'm gonna keep an eye on this one. Keep an eye on that. But that was all the news. Well, not all the news, but some of the bigger, more interesting news stories over the last week. Tell me what you think. Do you think that the Switch is going to retake its throne? Maybe not. Maybe the PlayStation chops up and just keeps going. Or maybe the Xbox will pop up and do some bits and pieces. Let me know what you thought of this one. Do you want me to keep doing them? If you've got any ideas, send them over my way. Do go check out my last video, which was the PlayStation Smash Bros. Thingy, where I pitched a couple of ideas on how PlayStation should make PlayStation All-Stars 2. I give you a full rundown of my roster, as well as a idea for the story, or a pitch for the story for All-Stars 2. What did I call it? All-Stars Rematch. All-Stars Rematch. I will also most likely have a Guardians of the Galaxy first impressions, first hour video up. I haven't done one of those in a good while, but that one should be up on Tuesday, because the game launches on Tuesday, so I'd imagine I will be playing that at launch, because Tuesday is a day off for me, so late night playing Guardians. Looking forward to that. So expect that one to be out. And then I'm going to try and get my Halo review out in time for the 20th anniversary, sorry. If I can get it working properly. If not, I will just jump on my Xbox and get that done. I've got the BioShock 2 video coming out. I've got a Game of the Year video in the works. I've half started that, because obviously don't want to get too far ahead in case it's not my Game of the Year. And then, other bits and pieces will come about. But thank you once again for watching. I will, at the very least, talk to you next week, where we go over more news headlines. Do remember to like and subscribe. Come check me out on Twitter at LJMaven. Go check out Eat Sleep Game over on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. We do also have a Reddit as well now. I'll be posting more once I've got more reviews out, because I will be posting the written side of stuff. I will be putting all of my scripts onto there, so you can read the reviews if you prefer. But that is all for me. Thank you once again for watching. I will see you in the next one.